Hello,
Hello, Mr. Marson. How are you?
I'm doing well. First and foremost, welcome back. Welcome back to the country.
Thanks.
How was your trip? I know you went away, and not asking for the details of the trip, but I'm asking about the details of how did your eating go as you were away?
It went good. I prepared for it much better than my last trip.
Okay.
And I'll talk about some little things that I did that definitely worked 100% this time. Um, and yeah, it was good. It was a quick trip, so
Yeah.
a little tired today, but
Yeah.
I'll go.
Yeah. Cool. Very good. I was hoping that I will stay where I was. Data shows that whenever you go away, I always jump with weight, right? And we always say the water retention. This time it wasn't any different. Girls talked me into going to Panera, having a dinner. Obviously, that usually means some extra poundage. I'm like, oh my god, the numbers are gonna jump. I know last week it was a little higher elevated, and I'm like, this week I can't get it sort of out of allow it for this thing to be out of control. So I try to be really good. And then when we went out for dinner, I'm like, even if it's additional 3 pounds on the scale, like hopefully I'm gonna land in the same spot that I was last week, which I kind of did. So I'm happy about that. That's a win. But before we jump into numbers, before we jump into the main topic of today, which is about different options for intermittent fasting, as always, do you want to do a quick introduction? Tell people what we're here for.
Yeah, so we are here to share our story of losing a total of 100 pounds altogether. We're on our way. I believe this is our, oh my gosh, 11th episode already. um right, so we
Yeah.
are moving along, and you're going to see our ups and our downs, and we're going to share everything that worked for us in previous 6 months ago. We did this already. We lost the pounds. Then we decided, as a lot of people do, go back to your regular routine. So of course the weight came on, but we definitely know how we felt then and how we feel now. So we're back at it. We're documenting it, sharing with you to hopefully help you.
Very good. So, um, just because you mentioned like we were losing, then I know we had a bump. I want to talk about numbers because I want to just put things in perspective. So when you say it came back on, some weight came back on because we were not aggressive with intermittent fasting, but we lost collectively 110 pounds. You had 35, right?
Correct.
You had 35, I had 75, so we already did 110 pounds together.
Mhm.
This is exactly why we're doing it here, because we regained some weight, but we've decided, hey, let's do another 100. So I'm currently close to like 250, 258, I think, as of today. You're under 190. I know our goal on my end, it's under 210 as the sort of final goal. And for you, what was it, 165 or?
165 I would like to be.
Yeah,
Between 170 165 is
yeah.
my
Uh,
weight.
all right, cool. So yeah, so we're targeting 100, and if you're stumbled upon our content, very happy to have you. So today we're going to be talking about options for intermittent fasting, and we sort of have been kind of preaching about this whole. What we're doing is time restrict. For those of you that have not heard that before, we're doing time restricted fasting. So we're pretty much just focusing on the time restriction. So it's basically the same thing every day. We have different hours. Sometimes like Joanna pushes from what's your like standard? Is 16:8 your like conventional, or are you at like 18:6, or what's the deal now?
18.6 is my standard. But lately I've been seeing that I eat within 4 hours. It's 3:30, 4 o'clock. Don't start eating between 12 and 1, and it's 3:30, 4 o'clock. Then I'm not really hungry. So if I'm not really
Yeah.
hungry, I don't eat dinner.
Yeah, and again, this is with time, right? We're 2.5 months into this process, or 2 months and 3 weeks, or something like that. And if you like even go back and watch episode one, we were at like 16:8, then 18:6, and then eventually you get to this point where, like you're saying, sometimes when you're busy during a week, 4 hours is really what you can do, because that really translates into like having a meal, maybe having a snack, or most likely having a snack, and then just one meal to close your day, right?
Yeah.
So I find myself sort of in the same position, and sometimes I see myself on one end and the other end. So like sometimes I will have like a 5 hour eating window, sometimes like a 6 hour eating window.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, sometimes I feel like I have a meal and snack, and I'm not hungry either.
Mhm.
So that happens with time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we talk about time restricted eating. This is what it is. This is when you play with the hours. We typically recommend that folks start with their 12 hours to begin with, and then stretch their non-eating window to 13, 14, 15, 16, and you keep on going until whatever makes you whatever makes you comfortable. But there's also alternative ways of doing this, and this is something that we wanted to cover today because it's important. Because it's restricted time eating is not for everybody. Some people like to kind of just choose their options, and this is what we're going to cover. So let me hop onto the let me see. We're going to look at some graphics. This is what I want to look at. So let me switch over to this monitor here. Can you see it okay? Do you think I need to
Yeah.
blow it up a little bit, or?
Do you want to do our numbers first or no? Or sorry.
Very important. That's correct. Yes, of course. Almost messed up our routine.
Yeah.
All right, Joanna. So let's do it quickly. I mean, we kind of said it what it was, but let's look at numbers.
Yep. So I went down to 188.8 with traveling, which is a success for me because I don't I tend to always go up a little bit.
Yep.
It's not much, but at least I know what is going to be working for me when I travel. And like I said, I'll share that with you guys later. So my graph here is after our little hurricane, my weight was 189.6. So I'm down to 188.8. So I feel good.
You're back in the game.
Correct.
I'm jealous. In my case, 259.2, which is higher than last week. It's not much higher, but I think it was let's see, let's look at the graph here. Oh, this one doesn't show, but I think I was 258.4 or something like that. So not zero 0.8 of a pound maybe. But that's where I am. So we'll see what happens next. Whenever I'm kind of stalling or the weight goes up, and this is like second week now, so it makes you feel like super uncomfortable. I try to always look at data and other numbers. This week I looked at this picture, so you can kind of compare my fat me to my skinnier version, and that's really what it's about. We're here to just kind of promote health as you're doing this weight loss thing. We're not trying to be super aggressive. It's more of a realistic approach to dieting. So that's what it is. On the right, you can see me at when I started at 311. This was before losing the 75 pounds. So I'm hoping that now the picture on the left will change as well as we kind of move forward here. All right, guys. So back to the website. Let me know if you can see it, okay?
Yep.
All
You
right.
can see it. The graph.
Okay, cool. So alternate day fasting. How do we sort of put it in perspective for people? So alternate day fasting. I mean, the name sort of spells it out, right? It's kind of intuitive. So alternate day fasting is when you alternate between your eating window and your non-eating window. Right now, what we're doing with the time restricted eating is basically applying the time frame to when we eat and when we don't eat, but it's the same every day, Monday through Sunday. For some people, they're more successful with using alternate day fasting when they do a 36 to 12. This is more aggressive. This is for folks that have 40, 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus pounds to lose, because you have so much fat stored in your body that you can actually go without meals and just kind of burn off your fat. It's a mental game, and it's basically following that regime. When you start, you eat on, this is just, I projected things on a calendar, so just so it's for a visual, just so it's easier to understand. But you basically eat on Monday, and NF is no food on Tuesday, and then you eat again on Wednesday, no food on Thursday, and you can kind of see the pattern here. You're gonna keep repeating it, and the problem with this is that when you hit Sunday, you eat, then on Monday you have it's your no food day, right? So it's your fast day, and then Tuesday. So you can see that they kind of overlap, right? It's not the same every week. Not everybody is a fan of it, just because I'll be personally, from my end, I like to know what I'm doing on certain days. So I sort of like routines. So even if I had to do like an alternate day fasting, I would try to switch it to something different. And this is sort of like a modified version of my alternate day fasting. This is something that we're actually going to attempt to do in November as an experiment in this group. And I like to think of it more this way, because on Monday I know that I eat, and then every Tuesday it's my fast day, and then Wednesday I eat again, Thursday fast day, Friday eat, Saturday is going to be a fast day. And actually, I hope I have something here. I'm jumping forward, I know, but like this guy here, this is actually incorrect. Let me just do something quickly here. I think of it this way. So this will be a fast day, and this will be also a fast day. So this way, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is my eating day, where actually, sorry, is this correct or incorrect? No, it's actually wrong. Hold on. I have to redo it live. What this would look like, guys, is this way. This would be my eating day. And this would be my eating day. This would be a non-eating day, fasting day. This would be a fasting day. Sorry, I know I'm being a little clumsy here, but I'm just trying to do it fast. So this is basically what it would look like. Those would be my eating days, and the blue squares are my fast days.
Mm-hmm.
So this is ideally what I would like to do. This way I have 3 days of fasting, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday would be my my eating day, right? Usually there's stuff going on Saturday. We like to have dinners together on Saturday or Sunday. Sometimes we have people over, so it's kind of easier to do it this way. And if you think about it, because of the caloric deficit on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, even though you still eat normally on those other days, you still have a deficit of about 3,000 to 3,500 calories, which is about a pound a week. So the results are going to be there. Now, to kind of back it up with data, I always kind of try to pull different articles to show you guys. This is from the National Library of Medicine, Intermittent Fasting and Weight Loss Systematic Review. They basically did a study, an extended study of just a bunch of people. And they basically said that the overall loss was 13% from the baseline, so from when they started. So they lost 13%. And this one, 12 studies comparing if to calorie restriction found equivalent results. What that was basically was that they took a group of people that followed a sort of conventional regime of cutting calories and kind of eating all over the place during their day, with 3-4 meals. They basically followed calories, and then they took people and did alternate testing, what I just showed you with the alternate days. And it was basically equivalent result. So they didn't find any discrepancies. So going sort of this alternate way of fasting is the same as following your caloric intake, right?
Yeah.
So this is what we're going to attempt to do in November. Would you like to add anything here?
Yes, I definitely want to add that with this 36 hours of not eating, you're hitting that fat burning. So you're actually teaching your body to switch into fat burning much quicker, which is going to help you down the road. Along with, it releases more stored sugar that we all want to get rid of. And interesting thing, I don't have the study to show you, but a study has been done that 36 hours of not eating reduces your cholesterol. So overall, it's, you got 3 days in that week, in 1 week, that you start using all this good stuff and start switching your body.
Yeah, and the 36. A lot of times when I talked with folks, 36 sounds like a long way from like an 18-hour window, right, or 20-hour window. But in reality, to me, it's like it's a day with no eating. Because if you think about it, you're stopping to eat on, let's say, in this case, when we're looking at the website here, you're stopping to eat on Sunday night, right? And
Mhm.
then you go overnight. So obviously you're sleeping, not eating, and then you go one day, and then you hit your sleeping window again, and it's super easy to not, to stay away from food when you're sleeping. So that automatically turns your one day into a 36-hour window, and then basically, if you stopped eating on Sunday at, let's say, 6 p.m., then you basically go the entire day. uh, you stop at 6, you go the entire night, you go the entire day, and the entire night, and you can start eating at 6 again to 6 p.m. again, and then you repeat the cycle.
Yeah.
So it's, I know 36 sounds a lot, but like if you can survive a day without, and you want to be aggressive and you want to get to your goal faster, definitely a way to go. We said we're going to try to do it in November. We actually never did 36-12 for like an extended period of time. I know we did 36 hours, but then we went back onto our regular restricted time eating. But that's what we're going to try to do for a month, and we'll see what kind of results we get. So I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah.
What else here for the modified one? Some people like to play with calories on different days. So I'm not going to switch days again, but you guys get the idea. Sometimes when you can go for, let's say, 3 days of fasting, you can go for 2 days of fasting and then just play with one day and see if,
Martin, you, I'm not sure if you switched to something. Oh, here we go. Okay, because
okay.
the camera is out.
Oh, let me adjust it.
And while you're adjusting that, I want to mention another thing. Last episode we had some questions, and the questions were like, okay, what do I do if I'm stuck? These are the things that you want to use when you're stuck. Change it up a bit.
Yeah, if you think about it high level, right? It's basically you're still playing with your calories, right? It's you're creating your calorie deficit on different days, right? So this is the 600 calorie approach, and there should be one more, I think, here. Same deal. It's just like, think of it this way: if not eating for the entire day is a problem, just try modifying your windows. This is still creating a deficit with calories. So if you know that your caloric intake is, let's say, 2,500 calories or 2,000 calories, if you're more lean, in a case of, for people like me, when it's like 3,200 calories or 3,000 calories, not eating 2,400 calories, on a single day will create that big deficit for the rest of the week. So this one was 2 days of fasting and one day with 600 calories, and this is basically just another comparison to show you that another modified version when you may have, let's say, one meal, maybe a snack or a combination of two small meals, and you can kind of tackle it that way. So this is what will be considered a modified alternate day fasting protocol.
Hmm.
Anything else you wanted to add here?
Nope, that's it for
Okay.
now.
One thing I wanted to mention, which we don't really spend a lot of time talking about, exercise. Exercise, not. I'll say this. a lot of people automatically, when they think of like dieting and losing weight, they think of a combination of exercise and eating. Quite frankly, more people associate exercise with weight loss, which is kind of not counterintuitive, but it's actually the opposite. Like 70% of your results come from your diet. um, Exercise, like for us, we've mentioned that before, it's mostly walks. I know people tend to think of cardio, which brings up your cortisol levels. The, weight training is really weight training and walking are the sort of two methods that you should be implementing when implementing intermittent fasting. The one thing I wanted to mention here is that when you are implementing some sort of exercise routine, try to do it obviously on your eating day. So in this case, back to the calendar I was showing you before, anytime I hit my eating window, I add my exercise. And by exercise, I talk about weights, just lifting weights. So and again, nothing heavy. Something that you can probably do in your room and in your garage. I'm not going to get into details. This was just to illustrate when you should be exercising. It's not really recommended to go heavy on your body on a day when you're fasting because your body takes a toll. So this is kind of what you should be incorporating if you're already exercising and you're trying to implement alternate day fasting. The next one here is another method of doing this, which is 5-2. I know a lot of people, especially when you're in your, I don't know, late 50s, mid 50s, 60s, or 70s. A lot of people enjoy kind of doing it this way when they have their caloric goal for every day. And then they basically cut their calories for 2 days a week. In this instance, I have Tuesdays and Thursdays. If let's say you have 2 busy days with Tuesdays and Thursdays, maybe you're running around with like kids, their activities, maybe you're more busy at work, maybe you have some house chores that you're taking care of on those days. Then you can tackle those days because you don't really think about eating that much on those days. You can do it on whatever days. Like in this case, I'm using Tuesdays and Thursdays, but this will also create a caloric deficit. Again, I have numbers here: 3,000 calorie deficit, and this is 2,000 calorie diet. When you think of it, if you cut down your 2,000 calories on one day, if you're gonna cut it down by 75%, you're gonna create the numbers are going to work out to about 3,000 calories, right? So altogether, right, during a week. So you're still looking at 1 pound of loss, and that's something you can implement. Anything you would like to add here?
Nope, same thing. You're changing up your routine, which will cause you to start losing a little bit more weight. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So next one is, we're already familiar with this one. So this one is time restricted eating. This is when we set the hours. For those of you that are maybe seeing this for the first time, it's basically what we do recommend for somebody that's starting with intermittent fasting. I understand people immediately want to jump into it, and everybody sort of think of it. Everybody has their own way of doing it. Joanna, you can chime in and tell me how you feel about this. But the thing is, I if I had to do it from scratch on day one, I think the first thing that I would recommend to my younger self would be to go for the first week and not implement any sort of intermittent fasting. What I would do the first week is basically measure, take down my numbers, almost go throughout the week every day and just take some notes and observations on the way you're eating. So you're basically measuring the first week. So you're going every day on Monday, and whenever you have breakfast, just jot it down, and then when you have another meal, maybe a snack, just jot it down. This way, a week later, right, when you start on Monday, you take a record of whatever happens during a week. And then when you're starting with your first window, you actually have some sort of an educated guess on what your eating window should be. This is just sort of like winging it, because you may be in the position where maybe your non-eating window is only 6 hours, right? Maybe your non-eating window is 8 hours, and very often when we hear like a recommendation of like, well, start with 14 hours, that's a huge gap. So instead of doing that, I probably, if I like was advising myself again, I would say, hey, if my eating window right now is 8 hours, let's try 6 hours. Or I'm sorry, my non-eating window is 6 hours. Let's try to make it 7 hours, and then 8 hours, and then gradually kind of grow into the bigger window instead of trying to flip my world upside down and kind of go aggressive. I'm showing here that it's like a 16:8 is kind of where people feel super comfortable. It's almost recommended for like maintaining your weight, because it's super
Yeah.
easy. 8 hours, it's a long time to to like for you to eat. I think it's from like 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock, so you can
Mhm.
kind of push your breakfast in the morning, you finish eating 6 o'clock. If you go to bed at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, that's enough time for to digest all the food and whatever. So like a lot of people are sticking to 16:8. Then another group of people 18:6, like for us, if we want to go sort of more aggressive, you're then pushing that window to like 18, maybe 20 sometimes, and you play with different numbers. But TRE, the time restricted eating, it's anything between 13 to 22 hours. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I agree with you. I just want to add one more suggestion to when you start the first week. I would definitely, like Marcin said, look at what you're eating, start recording stuff, but start decreasing your sugars because your sugars are the ones that create this crazy cravings. And if you already are the first week just getting rid of some of the sugar drinks and some of the additional sugars that you put in, fasting will be so much easier on you, on your brain, and on your body. So definitely 1 week implement slowly getting rid of the sugars.
All right, cool. So we're done with time restricted eating. The next one, I think we have one or two more to go. The next one is actually OMAD was at the bottom of my list. The one I did not cover was the eat not eat, or eat stop eat eat not eat protocol. And this one is a 24-hour thing where you basically you one day you eat and then you don't eat and then you eat again, but it's like a 24-hour thing, and it sort of flip flaps week to week. I chose not to include it here, but I didn't want to neglect it in case you guys hear about it. It's just another way of alternate day fasting. You can look it up and just check it out. Maybe that's something that works for you. I know from all the sort of protocols that we have came across, it's the least favorite for people to use. So just wanted to mention that for the record. And then I think the last one, yeah, it is the last one, is the OMAD. So this one is a hardcore. But for those of you that have maybe have a goal, maybe you need to lose weight in like 4, 5, 6 months at the tops. You can go with 1 meal a day protocol. This one is basically you're eating 1 meal a day, and you can go as heavy as you need to in terms of calories. Obviously, you can't exceed your caloric intake, but it's really hard to do it in one sitting. For a normal person, so eating a 2,500 calorie meal, it's close to impossible. But that's really what it is. Um, Anything you wanted to add on the OMAD?
Yeah, you're increasing your fasting window, and you're starting. Good things are starting to happen in your body, such as stem cells are starting to get produced. They're starting to enter different areas. So a lot of good things that are happening there. But if you do decide to go with this, do not. We all want to. We tend to want to put a dessert in there. It's going to be hard because if you guys put a dessert at the end of this meal and that's where you're going to end and not eat again till the next meal, your cravings are going to go way up high. So just keep that in mind. and you can't eat again for 22 hours, right?
Yeah.
So your sugars, keep track of your sugar intakes.
And again, so we have discussed all the protocols, but it's if you mix and match, it's also okay, right? So
Oh
if
yeah.
I scrolled again back to the top, and said, hey, maybe I want to do an alternate day fasting, but maybe I want to increase, like in this case, it's a fast eat fast. Maybe I want to eat on Friday and then just leave 2 days. Maybe I
Mhm.
want to introduce some calories on Monday. Maybe it's a stressful day. Maybe your exercise needs to shift. However, you guys need to play with your windows and your calories. I highly advise you to do it. Obviously, the one thing to remember is that when you have your caloric intake, your BMR, right? Once you have that calculated, just make sure you don't cross it. And you have to create a deficit. So you can create a deficit either on that day or throughout the week. You have to
Yeah.
make sure that you're eating 3,000 calories less. How you're going to do it, it's entirely up to you. Whether you want to sacrifice your weekends and just focus on fasting on your weekends, whether you have busy days and you want to do it on your busy days, maybe you're running around, like I said, kids' activities.
Yeah.
Then you can pretty much figure it out. You can either cut the calories, introduce some calories, introduce 0 calories, whatever you want to do. And then, like I said, exercise is important. If you're exercising, um, do it on the days when you're eating.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Even if in the beginning you want to try once a week, 24 hours not eating, or once a week, 36 hours not eating,
Yeah,
just to get yourself used to with this idea of not eating before jumping into like eating, not eating, eating, not eating one week.
right. And
So,
and also one other thing I didn't mention is like as you're playing with calories and eating, even in terms of like I'm gonna talk about proteins, for example. Because sometimes we don't pay attention to what we're eating. But like even if you're focusing on proteins more, that's also a win, right? Because that's sort of the best way you can fuel your body. So maybe you can do, on a weekend, if you don't want to totally cut it down, maybe you can focus on meats instead, right? Instead of just adding anything to your meals. Anything else before we wrap it up? I know it was shorter episode this week, but I hope it's valuable because I know a lot of people like to sort of juggle the days.
yeah, I would like to share with everybody what I did this time traveling,
Oh yeah,
how,
perfect.
because I think it was helpful. So I just want to let you guys know that you can find good food at the airport, but it's a little bit harder. I had a layover in Dallas for 54 minutes. That's not a lot. Any of you that travel know Dallas. It's a humongous airport. So you got to take the air train to actually get from one terminal to the other.
Mhm.
Um, Knowing this, I prepared the night before. I boiled myself 2 hard eggs. I rolled up some salami with cheese. I had four like roll ups like that. I prepped my nuts and I bought some beef sticks. And that was, and I also took my dark chocolate, which is 90% dark chocolate, and bought peanut butter packs. Um, and that I knew that I would be fine for my whole trip. So getting on the plane in the morning, I had nothing to eat, which is normal for me. I just had my coffee. I like going to Starbucks because Starbucks, or you can put heavy cream in, so that's enough of calories to not to keep me going without getting me out of my fast. Uh, I get very tempted on the plane with all those little packets that they give out. So I just say no, thank you, and keep it away from that. Also, one thing is, I did increase my water intake when I'm traveling. I tend not to want to do that because I'm worried about, using the restroom on the plane, not being able to. But I gave in and I made sure that on my first flight, I got 1 liter of water down with my coffee. Then I did not have time to buy any food going from one plane to the other because it was boarding as I ran up to the gate already. So again, I had my little packet of my 2 eggs and my salami wrapped up, I just grabbed another water. So again, now for the next flight, I had my 1 liter of water, I had my 2 eggs, my 4 roll ups, and I finished off with some nuts, which was perfect. They were giving out cookies or graham crackers in the plane. I didn't need it. I had my own stuff, so that worked. Being at it, I was in Mexico at a facility. I eh, we get lunch there. I just chose all the lunches to be salads with proteins, and my next day was a soup with chicken, avocado, all that good stuff. Again, and I didn't eat any snacks that they were giving out. I kept to my own snacks of peanut butter, peanuts, and that beef jerky. And I stopped eating at 6 o'clock. And after every meal, every dinner, of course, it's out again. The dinners, I went for a walk, and kept doing my water. You guys, I can't stress enough to make sure you guys get enough of water, especially when you're traveling. So, oh, and I used our electrolytes as well,
Yeah.
which would help me with that.
So as you're talking, two thoughts. One is like I've noticed you have sort of like a this protocol of packing those other the snacks or whatever the combination is, right?
Correct.
But I'm almost thinking when I travel, I have a tendency to snack. I'm not even hungry. It's just a habit. So I think that when you're equipped with those sort of right snacks, it's
Mhm.
probably better to even overeat on the healthy stuff rather than trying on the go to supplement it. So now you're snacking, but you're not all the way there. You're grabbing stuff as you go. So I think what you're doing, even if you take too much stuff, even if you're over, at least it's something that your body is used to and knows what to do with.
Correct.
So I think that's a great idea. And the other thing is, I'm actually surprised. Like when you talk about being in Mexico and like eating, you it sounded like you ate nothing sort of out of ordinary. But I know when I switch to like I mentioned that in other episodes. I know that when I'm on my regular foods, the second I change, I may even go to like I don't know Panera Bread and have whatever I had with the girls, apple something salad.
Salad. Hmm.
Um, technically, like it's just a salad, but I usually have problems with like water retention. And I know when you say drinking a lot of water, I'm almost like scared to drink water because I'm like I know that stuff will just stay in my body for a little bit, and playing pretend like I'm gaining weight. You don't have that problem like when you ate in Mexico. No water retention. I mean, your numbers are fine.
So this would happen, and let me tell you, like when I order stuff in Mexico, they provide us lunch at the place that we work at. Nothing's perfect. Like my soup had a little bit of white rice in it. Did I
Hmm.
worry? No, I just ate it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, then in Panera Bread, I only had one break yesterday to eat between the planes. I had Panera Bread, I had a salad, and I had the squash soup. Was it perfect? No. But I made sure that every day I had a minimum of 2 liters of water. And I
yeah.
think that is what helped me because
I see.
my body just like washed it out.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what's important is like I know it almost sounds like you have to drink more water when you're traveling, but
Yeah.
but in reality you should be just drinking water regularly. I think my problem also could be that it's maybe I don't drink enough, and with the other foods I consume more water, and that creates some sort of an imbalance. But I totally understand what you're saying. It makes sense. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. And the other thing also is like I know a lot of times when we talk about snacks and food and restricted time eating and whatever, um, I don't want to freak anybody out. Like you have to remember that when you're introducing any sort of new protocol to your body, the way you're eating, you are going to put some stress on your body, right? So
Hmm.
it's recommended actually that every 2 months, if you can't, every month, you should be, especially when you're pushing hard. So let's say somebody chose to do an alternate day fasting and went with like no eating, eating, no eating, eating, right? And you're losing substantial weight. You always have to remember we very often sort of catch this wave of like, all right, I'm just gonna keep on going, but like We know that this is not sustainable for a very long time. So just a word of warning: make sure that you introduce maintenance windows. And what that is basically you can do your protocol for about month, 2 months. Some of us may be able to do 3 months, but then make sure that you work in at least a week, 2 weeks. Some people will need a month of like a maintenance window where they try to basically maintain their calories, right? So you're not trying to like starve yourself, but you're still being careful, not overeating.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a snack or two or whatever. I had egg sandwich the other day, so it's not like we're trying to say all food is evil suddenly. It's just we're on this journey to like reach some numbers, but if we have to, remember, we have it's an all mental game. So you have to be able to like lose and then just chill for a little bit, right, for a week, 2 or 3, and then start the process again, and then again introduce another maintenance window. So just something for folks to keep in mind.
I do want to add, it's a good point. If you push too long,
Mhm.
your body gets used to this. Okay. And another thing is, then finally, when you do eat like that egg sandwich, uh, or bread, I love bread, right? If I don't completely stay away from it for a month, I will eat the whole loaf when I get to it, right? So I am
Yeah,
overeating. Where
yeah,
if I would get like one piece of bread and put good
yeah,
healthy salmon, smoked salmon on top, I would satisfy my need for bread, get good fats in,
yeah.
and I would be fine again for the next 3 weeks or two,
Yeah, and
So
especially to add to that, because I know that egg sandwich is a good example, because when we tend to be more, we get an opportunity to be more selective. Because the thing is, if you're at that point where like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna break, out of my eating protocol, you're just gonna grab anything. So like, you may be at a gas station, somebody's house, and there's just some crap laying around, and you might as well actually reach for something that you enjoy, something you're craving, instead of just grabbing some nonsense food that's just laying around, right? So totally agree with you. Anything else that we would like to add to today's conversation?
I think that is it.
So we're still at almost 45 minutes. Hopefully it was worth it. As always, guys, let us know if there's anything. We are gonna try to. It's almost. I can't believe it's October 19th. We're getting close to Halloween, Thanksgiving. Obviously, just beyond behind the corner. So we're gonna try to prep you for that. We're working on something special. I don't think I wanna spill the beans just yet. So looking forward to that. Thank you for joining us today. And the last thing, if you're on Spotify, if you're listening to our podcast, if you're on YouTube and you want to get the latest and greatest, we're including so much information in our Facebook group. Join us there. It's facebook.com groups/Glucose Guardians. So looking forward to meeting you guys. As always, comments or questions, reach out, and I think we're good for this week.
Yep, we are. That's it.
All right. Well, everybody, have a great Saturday.
Bye.
Actually, you're listening on
Enjoy
Thursday. Have a
Thursday.
great Thursday. Bye, everybody.
All right, fest on, my friends. Bye.
Bye.